Right, so just when I thought the M1X MacBook Pros were gonna be perfect, we now have a third report regarding a notch coming to these new MacBooks. And so let's delve into it, but first make sure to like and subscribe for the latest Apple news and rumors. And with that being said, let's just tuck in. Now, the source of this info is AnyTurtle999 on Weibo. Now, that's a pretty funky username, and also do note, they have not leaked information in the past as far as I know, but do note, like I said, this is now the third independent source to mention a notch is coming to these MacBooks. And so I do think there is a very good chance this might be happening. Right, so the source gave us two images, the first one being the actual display component, and the second one is a rough sketch of how this MacBook Pro should look. Right, so delving into the first image, I have no idea why there's a cat on the side, but anyways, glossing over that, the main thing to note in the image is of course the cutout at the top of this display component that is obviously for the notch. And the image also shows us that the notch houses the 1080p FaceTime camera, the mic array and the True Tone sensors, but no Face ID components. So this notch is not being implemented for Face ID on the MacBooks like it is on the iPhone. And yes, I know many are saying that Apple should give us Face ID if they're going to give us a notch, but do remember this MacBook Pro design is going to stay around for the next 3 to 4 years. And so maybe Apple's laying the groundwork design-wise to give us Face ID with a future iteration of these MacBook Pros. By the way, separate note, but the Apple logo in the image is still metal, and so that means we're not getting a glowing logo back on these MacBooks, which is unfortunate. Anyways, moving on to the second image, this gives us a clearer idea on the design for these MacBooks. So number one is of course the bezels and the notch. So as a previous report stated, the bottom bezel is still going to be thick on these MacBooks, but the side and the top bezel should be super thin, and of course as a result of that, we have a notch at the top. Now previous reports stated the notch would be the size of the iPhone 12 size notch, not the smaller notch we see on the iPhone 13 series, and well, that's kinda illustrated in these images. So the notch width-wise does seem to be the size of the iPhone 12 notch, but it's a lot taller for some reason, which means it's actually going to eat into more content than I expected. You see, when I had reports regarding the notch on these MacBooks, I was assuming the height would be similar to the menu bar, but this report definitely does not suggest that, and it seems it's going to go beyond the menu bar on these MacBooks. Now yes, I know many of you guys might wonder why Apple's doing this, but do remember this is the same company that gave us a chin on the 24-inch iMac when they could have easily removed it and put the display components within the chin behind the actual display. But no, they gave us a chin because it makes the iMac stand out, and so I'm assuming that's the main reason behind the notch on these MacBooks, because of course the notch has become synonymous with the iPhone, and so many consumers are going to see a notch on this and they're going to instantly know this is a MacBook. Especially since Apple is removing the MacBook Pro text at the bottom, that means Apple does need a design element that stands out against the competition, and so of course a notch very much does that. Now to be honest, I'm not too annoyed by the notch on these MacBooks because I don't think it's going to be a massive issue on a large 14-inch or 16-inch display, so I can live with this. But anyways, as for other design elements, we now have the keyboard area completely blacked out, like a previous report suggested, and to be honest, I don't mind how this looks. And also you might see the Touch ID scanner is now rounded, like we have on the 24-inch iMac's keyboards, and do remember it's going to be backlit with the rest of the keyboard. Now for those still skeptical about the notch, there is more evidence because a developer did notice that Safari now has a build which includes references to a safe area frame API. Now this is very similar to the API Apple uses on the iPhone that allows developers to lay out the apps with a notch on the display. And so this could be heavily suggesting that Apple's getting their developers to prepare for a notch on these new MacBooks. And of course, do remember the display resolutions that leaked within macOS were 74 pixels taller, and so of course that could be because we're getting a notch. So yeah, there's that, but tell me in the comments below guys, do you think we could see a notch on these new MacBooks? Anyways, thank you for watching, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe for the latest Apple news and rumors. Check out the video in the card above on details regarding AirPods 3, and on that note, I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya, peeps.